Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video on rates. So a rate is something that compares two quantities of different units. So a rate that you would be familiar with would be speed. So you know that if you're, say, driving, your speed is usually measured in kilometers per hour. That's what this little dash means, per. Per is a very important word in rates, because when we're talking rates, it's always something per something. So for speed, we have kilometers, which is a measure of distance, and also hours, which is a measure of time. That's what I mean about two quantities of different units. One quantity is the distance you've traveled, one quantity is the time for which you've been traveling. So as I said, all rates are something per something. All right, let's have a go at these questions on your screen. They're all related to the same thing. So let's say I travel 320 kilometers in 4 hours. First, I'm going to calculate my speed in kilometers per hour. So in the first question, I'm calculating a rate, which you need to know how to do. Now in the second question, it asks us how far would I travel in 7 hours. So here I'm calculating a quantity. And the quantity I'm calculating is the number of kilometers, or the distance. And third question, I'm again calculating a quantity. It's saying how long would it take me to drive 1,280 kilometers to Brisbane. This time, the quantity I'm calculating is the time. So you will need to be able to calculate rate, but also calculate quantities. So we're going to end up doing these slightly different. In the first one, I'm calculating the first quantity of the rate. The second one, I'm calculating the second quantity in the rate. All right, let's get to it. So the first one, 320 kilometers in 4 hours. What's my speed in kilometers per hour? So when you're calculating a rate, that involves dividing. So what you do is you divide the first quantity by the second quantity. So I want kilometers per hour. So this slash, it's written like that for a reason. It's sort of like a divide, like in a fraction. So all I need to do here is divide the number of kilometers by the number of hours, okay? I don't do 4 over 320. I do 320 divided by 4. I do kilometers first, divided by hours. So all I do is 320 kilometers divided by 4 hours gives me 80, and it's in kilometers per hour. So this is my speed. What it's saying is, if I travel 320 kilometers in 4 hours, on average, I'm going 80 kilometers every hour. If I can travel 320 kilometers in 4 hours, I can go 80 kilometers each hour, or 80 kilometers in 1 hour. So whenever you're asked for a rate like speed is a rate, it should be a number and then something per something. All right, let's do the second one now. So I divided to find the rate. Here I'm going to times. You times when you're finding the first quantity. Finding this quantity, the first one, is usually a lot easier. So now that we've got the rate, we know we're going 80 kilometers per hour. All we have to do is times up by 7 hours. If I go 80 kilometers in 1 hour, I go 160 in 2 hours, 240 in 3 hours, and so on. 80 times 7 gives me 560. I would go 560 kilometers in 7 hours. So again, we timesed here because I was finding the first quantity in the rate. All right, at this rate, how long would it take me to drive 1280 kilometers to Brisbane? Of course, the Brisbane doesn't have any bearing on the question. It won't change the maths. So here we're finding a quantity, but we're finding the second quantity in the rate. And that's where we are going to divide. What we're going to do is we're going to divide 1280 by the rate 80. Because we're saying we can go 80 kilometers every hour. So how many hours will I need to get to 1280? That's what we're figuring out. So to figure out what goes in the box, as I said, we divide. So we divide when we're finding the second quantity. So it's 1280 divided by 80, and that actually gives you 16. 16 is the number that goes in this box, and of course it's in hours. So it would take 16 hours at 80 kilometers an hour to travel 1280 kilometers. So make sure you can calculate a rate as well as quantities. We're just going to do another example now that doesn't involve speed. So let's look at this question here. Heart rate usually measured in beats per minute. My heart beats 17 times in 15 seconds. What is my heart rate? So I want to find how many beats per minute. That per comes in rates. So remember I said when we're calculating the rate, we usually divide. So what I'm going to do is divide the number of times my heart beat by the number of minutes. Okay, now what makes this a little harder is 15 seconds isn't a minute. You have to convert that to minutes, and you should know that 15 seconds is 1/4 of a minute. So I actually divide 17 by 1/4. 17 beats in 1/4 of a minute. It's the same as 17 times 4. Dividing by a quarter is the same as timesing by 4, and you get 68. So that means at this rate, my heart beats 68 beats per minute. In other words, every minute it beats 68 times. So at this rate, how many times will it beat in one day? Well, here we're trying to find the number of beats, the first quantity. So we're going to end up timesing. All we're going to do is times the number of minutes by 68, because there are 68 beats in 1 minute. So let's figure out how many minutes are in a day. So there are 60 minutes in an hour, and there are 24 hours in a day. So there's actually 1,440 minutes per day. So if my heart beats 68 times in each of those minutes, the number of times my heart will beat in a day is 68 times 1440. It's 68 times the number of minutes in a day. 68 beats for every minute in the day. So if you put that on your calculator, of course, you're going to get a very large number. It's 97920. Your heart would beat 97,920 times. Man, that's a lot. Okay, so in the third one, we're finding how long it will take my heart to beat 300 times. So here, how long, we're finding how many minutes. So we're finding the second quantity. So here, we end up dividing. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide the number of beats. We're dividing that by 68 because there are 68 beats per minute. We're, in other words, saying 68 beats per minute times how many minutes gets me to 3,000 beats. These two things are saying the exact same thing. So 3,000 divided by 68, you don't actually get a whole number. You get like 44.1. So that's rounded. So you can just leave it as that, 44.1 minutes, or if you like, 44 minutes and 6 seconds, because 0.1 of a minute, 1/10 of a minute is 6 seconds. All right, now we're just going to look quickly at the unitary method. So we're now going to have a look at this question. It costs $54 for 30 litres of petrol. At this rate, how much will it cost to fill my 56-litre tank? So this is a rate question because we're talking about dollars per litres. That's a rate. And here we're finding a quantity. We're finding the dollars, how much it will cost. So this is the kind of question for which we would use the unitary method. The unitary method means we first find the value of 1 unit. So in this question, the value of 1 unit is the cost for 1 litre. And that's what 1 unit means. Here, the units I'm interested in are litres. I want to know how much 1 litre costs, because if I know how much 1 litre costs, I can easily figure out how much 56 litres will cost. So what will be the cost for litre? Well, that is exactly the same as asking what is the rate in dollars per litre. They mean the same thing. So we know how to find the rate from this information. We can just go 54, the amount, divided by the second amount, and that is $1.80. So we did $54 per 30 litres, so this will be $1.80 per litre. That's the same as saying each litre costs $1.80. So that's what the unitary method is. You find like the cost of 1 unit or how far you can go in like 1 second or whatever, and then it's a simple multiplication. To find this quantity, 56 litres, we just do what we did on the previous slides. So we know that the litres is 56, we're calculating the dollars. And as I said, if you're calculating the first quantity in a rate, you times. So I'm going to times the number of litres by $1.80, and I just get $100.80. That's how much it will cost to fill up the tank. All right, I'm going to get rid of this. Please pause and copy it down, and we'll do one more example of the unitary method. So let's do this question here. Will is very fast and can run 100 meters in 10 seconds. What is his speed in kilometers per hour? So you're probably thinking, oh wait, this looks nothing like the previous question. But his speed in kilometers per hour is the same as saying how far can he run in 1 hour. So to use the unitary method, what we're going to do is use this information to find out how far he could run in 1 second, and then we just times by the number of seconds that are in an hour. It's as easy as that. So 100 meters in 10 seconds. If I want to convert this to meters per second, I just go 100 meters divided by 10 seconds, and of course that's 10. 100 meters in 10 seconds is 10 meters per second. And that's the same as saying he can go 10 meters in 1 second. So if he can go 10 meters in 1 second, how fast could he go in 1 hour? So how many seconds are in an hour? Well, of course, there are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. 1 hour, 60 times 60, which is 3,600 seconds, right? So, if he can go 10 meters in 1 second, he can go 10 times 3,600, which is 36,000 meters in 3,600 seconds, or if you like, in 1 hour. So, 10 meters per second means he can go 36,000 meters in 1 hour. And of course, 36,000 meters is just 36 kilometers. So he can go 36 kilometers in 1 hour, which is the same as saying he runs at an average speed of 36 kilometers per hour. All right, I'm just going to do one question that's a little bit harder, so green and black students don't need to worry about this if you don't want. All right, let's do this question here. So James goes for a run. He runs part of it at 12 kilometers an hour and part of it at 9 kilometers an hour. If he spends twice as long running at 12 kilometers an hour than he does at 9 kilometers an hour, what will be his average speed? So before we start, I want to point out it doesn't actually matter how long the total run is. We've got all the information we need because we know that he spends twice as long at this speed than at this speed. So this is a hard one. We're going to look at it like this. It's sort of like he runs this journey in 3 parts. So for 2 of those parts, he runs at 12 kilometers an hour, and one of those parts he runs at 9 kilometers per hour. So you can see here clearly he spent twice as long at 12 kilometers per hour than he has at 9 kilometers per hour. So what would be his average speed? So he spent 1 lot at 12 kilometers per hour, 1 lot at 12 kilometers per hour, and 1 lot at 9 kilometers per hour. So he's just gone 12 plus 12 plus 9. He's done 1 lot at 12, 1 lot at 12, 1 lot at 9, and he's done 3 lots in total. So if you just add that up, you will get 11 kilometers per hour. That will be his average speed. So this was a rate question because it involves speed, which is a rate, but I know it was a bit tricky. Sometimes we just have to think out of the box. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.